What's up guys, back with another Spartan Collection Series 4 figure review, and this time it's the Halo 2 Master Chief. He was my second most anticipated figure of this series, just behind the Yoroi armor. The main reason for that is because the product shots of him that I saw made him look super green and super plain, like very little paint apps, and now that I have him, well, let's go and take a closer look so I can talk about that. Alright, starting with the box, here's a closer look at the front here, and then the side with the glam shot of Master Chief. Then the top, and then the side, and then of course the back with another glam shot holding his dual SMGs there, and then the other figures in Series 4 as well as the UPC. Alright, and there he is guys, out of the package, and I stand semi-corrected on the paint apps and the color of the green, now that I have them out. Alright, I just kicked up the lights to kind of show you what's going on here. Under store lighting conditions, such as Target or even the studio setup right here, his green is very green. It looks overly green, because in, I think the original Halo, 2, Halo 1, and even Halo 3, he was a lot greener in the original unremastered versions, and then the new remastered one, they kind of toned his green down a little bit so that he's more in line with the other ones. But this looks like a green that's more accurate to the original game. And the thing is, under the studio lights that are super bright, and the store lights, there's actually very light green detailing, as you can see right there. It's a little bit darker than the actual color of the green, so it gives some highlights, but it's so faint under bright lights that you barely notice it, and then the green really shines hard under really bright light. But when you turn the lights down a little bit, which, let me do that real quick. Okay, I turned it down quite a bit actually, but now you can see the darker green parts are really starting to pop. The green isn't quite as neon radioactive bright as it was before, and it actually looks pretty good. I'm actually liking it a lot more now. It's like in the package under bright light, when I couldn't really tell that color contrast, it didn't look that great. It looked very plain, but now it's looking a lot better. Look, you can even see the different color tones in the head. I'll give you closer looks later. But yeah, so let me turn the lights back up. So yeah, I'm actually liking the color a lot more. I still think it's a little bit too bright for the green, but I think a good black wash would definitely bring out the details, because the sculpting is fantastic, which you guys will see. And just, yeah, so let's go and take a closer look at this super bright green Chief, Master Greeny Chief. Actually, real quick before I get into close-ups, here's a side-by-side color comparison of the Series 1 Halo Infinite Master Chief green versus the Halo 2. You can see that there is a huge difference. You almost want to say that somebody ordered the wrong plastic color or something. And when I say lack of paint apps, I mean when you move him aside and bring in Spartan Yoroi right here, I mean the paint apps on him are so insane that it almost looks like these two figures are made by different companies, but they're not. So yeah, he's just special. But anyways, let's take a closer look. Alright, now starting with the head here, the sculpt is fantastic. Just look at all the details there. Definitely a fantastic, incredible sculpt here for the Halo 2 Master Chief. Definitely loving it. Love the big visor and love how it's shiny. Just like kind of the Joyride figures back in the day. I still remember I had a Halo 2 one, except the head sculpt on that was just awful. Now as for the paint, the kind of side pieces right here, it looks like somebody just dabbed their hand in black paint and went and that was it. So that's pretty sloppy, but there's some nice paint on the inside right there, and they did a pretty decent job painting the rim of his visor as well. You can see there's actually that darker shade of green, as I said right there, and there actually is weathering as well, but unless the light hits it, you don't see that shiny silver weathering. So as you can see, it just disappears, and it's like it's not even there. So could see some improvements there. And then you have some more light, the darker green back here. It's just, even my camera can't focus on it. But yeah, you can see it's barely noticeable. But the biggest thing that kind of bugs me is the fact that they didn't even paint his headlights right here. I mean, here's the Halo Infinity. Did I just call it Halo Infinity? What, a Halo Infinite Master Chief. I mean, look, you see his headlights right there? They got some nice paint. It's black, and then they actually have the white dots. This one, they're just like, nah, we good. So, I don't know, it's just, the paint apps on this one are just so much better than this. It's just, that's where it starts to get lacking, just the paint job. That's the same for everything with the rest of the figure. But moving into the body, the sculpt is fantastic as well. Just look at all the details. Definitely reminds me of Halo 2. They did a great job sculpting this. It would be a great just kind of carry over to a Halo 3 figure. Hopefully they fix the paint apps with that. But I love the details that they have on that. See, there's that darker green again. Then they painted the back portions right here black, but they didn't paint the front portions, which kind of, I don't know, it just bugged me. I mean, they painted that part, but I mean, check out. Here's the Halo Infinite Chief. They got that painted. They got that painted. It looks so much better. And then you come to here, the Halo 2 Chief, and it's just between these two, it just looks like they got lazy on the paint job, or they skimped somewhere. I would have rather have them just take the paint apps for the back and that as well, and just, you know, use the money and put it on the front instead, and for the headlights. I don't know. Hopefully they can make a running change on this figure and just, you know, update that, but who knows. On a side note though, he looks like he's kind of cheaply made because of the paint job. You know, it looks like he's made of cheap hollow plastic, but it's actually pretty decent plastic, and it actually feels really nice. It has a nice texture to it, nice and smooth. Feels very, you know, the modern Hasbro Marvel Legends style quality plastic. It's kind of soft a little bit too. So definitely quality materials, just the paint job really kills it. But anywho, going back to the figure, I'll just let the paint job go now. Don't want to keep talking about that through the whole video. But this back portion actually comes out. It's very tight though, but oh geez. Okay, there we go. Got it out there. It's in there nice and tight, so it shouldn't fall out. But what's kind of cool is you can see there's actually sculpting on the inside as well, which is actually a nice touch. And then there's sculpting on both sides of this little piece right here. And you just flip it around like so, and now you got a pin to put his assault rifle on. And moving into the arms, we got some nice detailing all the way around as well. Got some of that darker green slightly over there, just kind of mixed in there. Loving the details. Love this shoulder arm right here. It's part of the bicep piece right there, and it's actually nice and hard, so you don't have to worry about it breaking on you, and he still has some pretty good movement even though it's hard. So definitely a plus right there. Got some black right there. Great gauntlets, a little bit of darker green as well. And then there's his pointing hand. Wait, actually no, that's his SMG hand. And then they got those little bubbles, little dots right there, which is, I don't know why, they just stand out to me as, you know, the Halo 2 and Halo 3 Master Chief. I don't know what it is, but yeah. And moving into the legs, there's his little kind of groin piece and butt piece right there. Looking pretty nicely sculpted, very sharp lines, which I like. There's that darker green. It's like darker than the rest. Oh no, that's pretty dark too. But anyways, there's the legs there. Got that Lego Jumbo. These actually pop out, I'll show you. And then these details on the inside are actually really nice. And what's really cool too is that these are actually painted matte black, matte black, matte black, matte black, all the way there. It actually stands out because the top thigh is actually shiny plastic black, which is like, they kind of missed it right there, but it makes you realize that the other pieces, they painted matte black, so it definitely looks very nice. So they tried at least, although I do wish they would have painted these little parts right here blue to be accurate to the game, but that's an easy fix with customizing right there. Then there's his calves there with just the excellent sculpting, just fantastic. And his big old feet right there, which at first I looked at them like, man, these seem really huge, but then I remembered they actually are really big in the game, so they definitely nailed the look of his booties there. And there's the bottom of the feet. And back to the thigh here, as I said, they just pop out like so. You got a little fingernail grip. They hold in fairly decently tight. They slide out there. The plastic's not quite as soft, but it does have a tiny bit of flex to it. Probably lets it stick in there nicely with friction. Got some sculpting in there, surprisingly. And you stick that on, and then now he can hold a pistol. Although, as you can see, when you have the pistol, you have that kind of lip there instead of the smoothness of it flat. So that's kind of a downside if you really want something accurate, but I just like the fact that you can stick a pistol on, so definitely enjoy that. This side comes out as well, in case you're wondering, and it does the exact same thing. Actually, you know what I wonder? Oh, hey, okay, my wonder worked out. Okay, I swapped sides, so this side was actually on this side, and then I'm taking the one that was on this side, putting it on this side. And once you do that, now it fits nice and flush against itself, and now you have that smooth finish. Okay, so that's what you got to do. You just got to pop them out and then switch sides, because if you put this back, now you got that big side. So yeah, just pull them out and switch sides. And for articulation, his head rotates in a circle, or it should, but it gets stuck on the sculpt right there, so that's about as far as he'll go. And then it goes about that high and that low, and only a tad bit of wiggle. And his arm rotates in the usual circle. Shoulder goes about that much because of his armor there. I think you could probably lift it and go a tiny bit further, as you can see, but I wouldn't push it too much. You don't want that to snap. And then the bicep swivel only goes so far because it gets stuck on the armor. It's got the double jointed elbow right there. It only goes about that much. It kind of gets stuck on itself. And then the hand spins in a circle, does a flapperdoodle. And I'm not sure if he actually is supposed to have butterfly joints or not, because it looks like he should, because like I said, the other figures have them, such as Jerome here. It's got a little butterfly joint, but Spartan Yoroi right here does not have butterfly joints, and because he popped off, you can see that in his review, it's actually just solid. So I'm wondering if he's the same. This one doesn't seem to pop off quite as easily. I don't feel like breaking them because I really like the figure. So yeah, I don't think he has butterfly joints either. And as for waist movement, it's the same form over function. There's not much, but it actually is a little bit more than others, so you get a little bit. And the legs go far forward and surprisingly far back, and it doesn't go sideways either. It's this kind of thong butt design right there, so that's pretty awesome. And he's got some pretty good splits as well. And he's got the thigh swivel, but it only goes so far because it gets stuck on the armor, as you can see right there. So it just goes about that much and then that much. Then he's got the double jointed knee, which has that very weird knee joint that Yoroi has as well, which I'm not sure I like, but it's actually really easy to articulate, and I think that's probably the reason why they did that, because when you go back to the Series 1, I mean, the knees can be very hard to articulate sometimes, so I think that is probably the reason why they used a bit softer plastic, so it's much easier to articulate. So I guess that could be the reason. And as for his feet, they go backwards, forwards, and they spin in a circle instead of a swivel, and the toe goes forward, but it actually doesn't go back because the sculpt is really flush. And I don't know what it is, but every time I articulate the ankles right here, his foot, these little black pieces keep falling off. Okay, it's like these little pieces right here. Don't know. Let's see if I can get it to focus. There we go. Yeah, these little black pieces. Looks like paint, but the thing is, as I look closer at it, I mean, I'm not seeing any chipped paint, so I mean, I'm sure it's chipping somewhere, but I have no idea where, so that's kind of weird. And for accessories, he comes with 2 punchy hands here, 2 grabby hands here, and a finger pointer. And then the dual SMGs, which look fantastic. I really love how they designed this right here. The sculpting looks great, and for the most part, they hold their shape. You know, they got some flex, but not too much flex. And I like how they added some extra paint apps, too, to make it less just flat and boring. And I like this because this was my jam in Halo 2. Okay, gotta show you a little technique to put these in his hand here. I had a little issue, but now I figured it out. As you can see, the butt of the grip is actually a bit wider than his hand. So if you try to put it in like that, it's not gonna work. And then you try to put it in like this, and then all of a sudden the buttstock is on the wrong side and you can't rotate it. So the trick here is to actually put it in this way. Just kind of get it into the hand like so. Just kind of wiggle that in there, and once that is in, hold on here. Okay, there we go. I got it working now. So wiggle that in there, and then you simply rotate it backwards, and bada bing, bada boom. It's nice and in, and it's nice and easy. The buttstock's on the correct side, and there he is holding his dual SMGs, just like in the game. Just, oh, I love that look. Just now, I would say that this look alone here, which is so iconic to Halo 2, which you can see right there, it makes it worth it. It makes you able to, at least for me, it makes me able to look past the lack of paint apps, or the kind of poor paint apps, and the really bright green. But yeah, this is fantastic right here. And for some comparisons, here he is next to his fellow Spartan Collection figures. As you can see, they got his height correct because they match between Infinite and Halo 2. Well guys, overall I have to say that this figure has a great sculpt, good build quality with quality materials, but with very disappointing paint apps. So it's an underwhelmingly great figure, if that makes any sense. But honestly, there's really only 3 changes that they can do to this to make it a much better figure. First off, tone down the green a little bit so it's not so bright, and then paint the back portion right here as well as his headlights. You gotta paint the headlights because the helmet makes Master Chief, and you gotta put it all in on the helmet, otherwise it's not Master Chief. But I do have hope that they will make a running change to improve that, because they did do that with their Series 1 Cat. If you guys remember her, she didn't have a very shiny visor, and then she was missing some paint apps on her legs right there. And then of course they went ahead and did a running change and made her have a much shinier visor, added the leg paint right there. So they are willing and capable of making those running changes, and I think if they did that for this Chief with the paint apps on the back piece right here and his headlights, that alone would make it so much better. And if they actually tone down the green color, I don't know if they can do that because it might be a whole bunch of plastic they have to order, might be too expensive, but if they do, whew, number 1 right there, number 1 Halo 2 Master Chief. Or if anything, if they kick out a super awesomely painted Halo 3 Master Chief, I mean they're basically the same armor except Halo 3 has a bit more battle damage, so that would make up for it as well. But anywho dudes, I'm gonna get back to playing Halo Infinite now. I'm really liking the open world and the grappling hook. Whew, 343 is winning me over with this Halo. And story wise, no spoilers, but it feels like the books. It's like they took the books and made it into Halo. It's just, I can't explain it. It's just really good so far. But anywho, hopefully you guys are enjoying it too, and until the next video, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.